Go read this book. Okay, you don't even have to watch the rest of the video. I appreciate it if you do, but like if all you get is go read this book, that's fine. Go read this book. It's so much fun. Kings of the Wyld. I've had this on my list to read for quite a while, and I am kicking myself for not getting to it sooner. It is without doubt the funnest book I have ever read of any genre. Definitely a fantasy, but it's so much fun. And the premise of this book is that he set out to write a book basically that he wanted to read, which for any author, that's a good route to go. He wasn't writing to a specific market or to try to achieve. He just wrote the book he wanted to read, and he wanted to write a book that didn't take itself too seriously. And he did that, but my goodness, did he do a good job. So if you want something that's new and innovative and cutting edge and something just completely different from anything you've read before, this ain't that book. It's not. This is more of a masterpiece perfecting all the stuff you already know. So it pulls real heavily from D&D, and it uses all the tropes you could pretty much think of, except there is no chosen one and no farm boy. So I'm fine with that. But it does use a lot of tropes, and I'm fine with it because he does them so well. And the premise of the book is, what if mercenaries in a fantasy world were treated more like rock stars? And I mean classic rock stars from like the 70s and 80s. And that's basically the world he built. And in this world where mercenary bands get together and go tour the Wyld and kill a bunch of crazy monsters and come back and are celebrated and all that kind of fun stuff, there was one band that was the band, better than all the rest. And as any band eventually happens, they broke up. So they broke up and all kind of went their own ways. They got old, they got fat, they got drunk, some became kings, one of them did. And it wasn't necessarily a happy breakup. It was, band breaking up. And then 20 years later, the leader of the band comes back to one of his bandmates and say, my daughter's in a tight pinch. I have to go save her. It's probably a suicidal, impossible mission. I need my band back together to go do this. And that's what they do. They get the band back together and take off to go save his daughter. And with a simple premise like that, it's not a huge epic, but it's a well-told story. The places where it really shines, of course, is just the banter between the characters. The comedy and the humor in this book I was laughing more in this book than I have in any book I've read. It's funny. It's really funny. And your mileage will vary on that. Everyone's taste in comedy is different, but this one nailed it for me. And if you're a big fantasy fan, it will probably nail it for you too. You'll at least get all the references. But at the same time, it's not just a silly, ridiculous book. It is, but it's also paired with fantastic pacing. There's no dip in this book. There's no slow middle in it. It's always something happening. Just when you think you're out of one thing, something else comes up. And so the pacing is on point, so you're always engaged. And then the characters, even though it's a silly book, per the author's, own words, the characters feel very real. Each one has their own personalities. Each one has their own motivations. They feel like characters with real depth to them. That and a solid plot. I mean, this book really doesn't have any big holes that I can think of. There's no amount of comedy that you can put in it where a good cast of characters with a solid plot. I mean, this book pulled at my heartstrings at some points. It got to me. Like, you'll be laughing on one page, a couple pages later, you'll be you'll be feeling the emotions. The feels are there. And for that to be pulled off in such quick succession, back to back, throughout the book, it's a roller coaster, and it's a fun one. So really, I can't recommend this book enough, really. It's fun and enjoyable, but at the same time being real and characters with some depth to them. It's a well-rounded book that you rarely find. And especially if you've been reading a lot of, grim, dark stuff, Game of Thrones, and that sort of thing, where it's some really intense, gory, everybody's real serious the whole time. This could be a great break for you in that. Especially if you're any kind of D&D fan. This will really, really be up your alley. It draws a lot from D&Ds as far as the monsters and just the pacing of it too a little bit. Has that kind of D&D just fun feel to it. And I'm really excited to get to read the second book in the series, Bloody Rose. So I'll have a review on that coming up shortly. And I will probably do a quotes video from this book, because I've highlighted probably half of the book as just of great quotes, either funny ones or ones that really tug at your heartstrings. So I'll have one of those videos coming out soon on that. For anyone that's already read Kings of the Wyld, if you know of any other authors or books that come close to that as far as a good recommendation following it, please let me know. I'm looking for it, because that was so fun. As always, thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.